as we explore Assin Manso slave riverside. It's popularly known to be a slave riverside, but actually here was a slave market and it's a slave cemetery. To tell us all about the history is our brother Kofi.
Assin Manso, once upon a time, was one of the slave markets that existed during the slave trade. This market was not the largest market, but Assin Manso became the busiest market. It was the busiest market because this was the only market that was closer to the three dungeons: Fort Amsterdam, Cape Coast, and Elmina. Now, Assin Manso was taking captives that were traveling all the way from the northern part of the country, from a market called the Salaga slave market. So the distance alone from Salaga to Assin Manso was over 400 miles. Now, many of our ancestors also crossed countries in order for them to get to Assin Manso. So those that were captured from Mali, could you imagine how many miles they could have walked? And they were in chains and shackles, barefoot and half naked, with no food, with no water. Thousands of them died along that journey. This was where they were properly fed. Broken bottles and sharp objects were used in shaving them, after which they were made to walk to the river in order for them to take their last bath. The riverside was where they went to their auction and they went to their branding. But those that could not continue with the journey, they decided to stay. And they have waited on this land for the past 500 years now. The market goes all the way to the community. But the reason why this area has been confined is because this area has been identified to have been the slave cemetery within the slave market. So from the edge of the grass all the way to the river, we are walking on the remains of our forebears. So today, as we are standing on them, all that we can say to them is, may their souls rest in peace. So on the 31st day of July 1998, we had the remains of our two ancestors being brought over to us. From the right, her name is Madam Krista from Kingston, Jamaica, representing the West Indies. In the middle is Samuel Carson from New York, US of A. So on the 31st day of July 1998, the two remains of our forebears re-entered our country. Our ancestors saw the danger. They were scared, but they cannot run away from it. They stood and the danger came to them. And today we have moved away from slavery in chains and shackles to mental slavery. Now we're going to make a short walk, which this tour is going to be more spiritual, because we're walking on the exact path our ancestors did. That was where we don't walk on that path with our shoes on. It is called the ancestral route. Thousands of them walked through this path. It was only hundreds that returned. The rest were all killed and buried.
This river has seen it all. The final footsteps of our ancestors, their last touch of freedom, their last